Well, we did get fairly
pre-pop,
wet.
did you? You didn't pre-pop?
No, this is my previous one. I got 2 more right here.
All right, well, let's get a pop in the top
pop.
here.
I got a fresh pop.
There's your pop.
Oh my
Dude, that
god!
was
Which one's supposed
right
to be
there.
me, Josh?
Those 2 are yours.
Yeah.
All right, we have
I'm popping my
a
energy drink, though.
we have a massive pod for the program,
Massive.
and one of my favorite kinds. We get to hang out with our friends.
Cheers, boys.
Cheers! Cheers to a great weekend.
Fantastic.
Cold one.
Come on.
Room temperature one.
And we're gonna review these, by the way. Nashville North Archery Boozy Betch Hazy IPA, 8%
Betch. They went with-
ABV.
They went with Boozy Betch.
Something tells me
Pints.
it's higher than that, and
Pints.
that's just the number they put on it.
But he did a good job on the can. Can's
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So cool. Look at that. No, there's a Bugatti Chiron on there. There's champagne.
Like
yeah.
that's a Bugatti Chiron.
Because look at the
It's 'cause he's a
profile.
bougie
You can't
bitch.
tell.
That's where it came
Chiron?
from.
You
Yeah,
can't even
right?
tell? You can't tell it's a Chiron?
A Chiron, you mean?
A Chiron. Chiron.
This dude rolled into the shop the
churro?
day of the event and brought us 24 cases of this stuff.
Yeah, what a great guy.
What a nice guy.
Give him a
and
shout
a
out.
bunch of
Give him a shout out.
and a
What's his
bunch
name?
of what
Is
do you
it
call them, growlers?
Brickworks? What was
I
the...
thought it was Brickworks. You got to look it up.
Yeah.
I want to make sure
we're
we see
gonna
the right
get
thing
that.
here.
I think it was Brickworks Brewery out of... was it Delaware?
No, that was Colorado.
No.
No? I don't remember. Cool dude, though.
Yeah,
He
Brickworks
actually
Brewing.
brought some to San Antonio,
Ryan
too.
Maloney, Brickworks Brewing. Dude, legit. Yeah, Delaware.
Yeah. Delaware.
Well, Josh,
Awesome stuff.
Tell the people kind of like how this trip came to be and what we had going on.
Well, so last year when we originally set this bunch of rowdy boys up to share an Airbnb,
Bunch
get
of nasty
hammered,
boys.
get hammered, and shoot a couple of attack events, one on each channel. We call it a collab. Do we call that a collab? I'm just going to pretend like I'm James. This
You
entire
are.
time.
You've said a lot of
have I done it
Jamesisms.
right? Have I done it right?
Yep.
I'm the greatest ever. No one's ever going to be as good as me. I can't use my hands while I hold the mic, though, so I can't pull it off.
I know him very well. Possibly, maybe even better than anybody.
Might be the best. But in any event, I persuaded, possibly just not gave an option, I think is probably the way I put it. It's like, hey, we're doing this again, but we're doing it in Tennessee this year because I have a grand opening. We'll do it the day before, make a big event out of it. Come a day early, check it out, shake hands, kiss babies, and then come down and do this thing. Brandon found us an Airbnb, and we are down in Tennessee doing the Tennessee Tech in monsoon rainstorms and shit weather. And it's been fun. Or the opposite of fun.
Hey, it's been hunting weather. You get what you...
Shoot an animal in this, you'll never find it. The blood will be gone in like 2 minutes.
Unless you're using a beast broadhead.
And headshot him.
Shout out Beast.
But I will say this, at least we've had just phenomenal weather. I will say I'm a bit traumatized on this trip because I lost the camcorder and it really hurts me,
Cue the violin.
I'm going to have to spend
Yeah,
$99.
I'm gonna have to-
You just
go
lost
to
a whole
Walmart.
$100 bill. I'm so sorry for you.
But the good news
Dawes' foggy lens is more expensive
Yeah,
than your
I
entire
know, I know.
camcorder.
So Brandon and I came up with actually kind of a avant-garde plan. So basically, we're going to. I'm going to make a plaque. If the camera doesn't come back from the dead, I'm going to frame it and I'm going to have Brianna make me a shadow box. We're going to put it in the podcast studio with the 100K plaque above it, and then
There
the
you go.
camera below it.
That's perfect.
Yeah, and then
I like
and
it.
then
I like it.
start a born and dead date.
I think
Yeah,
you should
right.
do that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's
you should.
So there's another creator named Casey Neistat who keeps all of his old cameras and literally puts why it died and what's wrong with it, and it's like this cool little collection. I think you should 100% do that.
I think it's cool, and like the camera really has done so much, but I hate to say that is technically the second one I had. The other one, the OG, is still just kicking back home. So I'm going to fire that thing up.
I can't believe those pieces of shit work so good. It's crazy.
It's
You're not
4K,
wrong.
Brandon, and
You are not
25
wrong.
frames, bro. It's European.
Yeah, and I was going to say, what was the explanation
Very
of 25
stylistic.
frames yesterday when we were talking
It's
about
European.
it? It's European.
It's literally
European
the European
standard.
standard.
That's all
for
the
way. So
that's all the Euro
what-
porn. That's
Yeah.
what it's in.
No, what that means is James has never updated the settings ever on the camera to be from the United States.
Oh, lovely.
Does it speak French to you, actually, when you open it up? Is it like, bonjour, jamais?
Voulez-vous avec moi?
That has
C'est soi?
happened, actually. Yeah,
That has happened.
It fired
That has.
up, and all of a sudden I loved wine and cheese, and I was just ready to go.
We should also probably preface that we all literally just got showered and washed off all the mud on us, which is why our hair probably looks the way it is. Just got out of the shower, including my own, which is obviously not hawking.
That's very
You have
unlike
a
you
flat
to be.
hawk right now.
You told me not to. I said, all right, fine, I won't.
I like it. It's kind of a casual look, and with the weather that the camera could probably see, and the lightning that started it, like the hair.
It's very
works.
unlike you to be at half mast.
We are, well, that's not how I roll in general, but I am a people pleaser, and you guys told me not to, so I didn't.
But how did the grand opening go? How was it?
Phenomenal.
For your expectation going in,
It was a lot.
What did you think?
It was better than I thought it was going to be. It was a lot going up to it. Like I had a lot going on in life in general, and I had to compartmentalize all that and push it aside to try to get all this stuff done because it was I'd never done anything event like in my life.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
I've never done one. Anything that I would call an event, it was always one of those like, just pass it off and not worry about it. It's like you don't need to do it. And a lot went into it. All my guys at Nashville North like kicked ass. Matt got the guys in order and was like, "Hey, you guys need to be here at like 6 a.m. We're gonna get all the freight out and everything done before we get anywhere near 10." His wife came like 3-4 days earlier, went through the garden beds, made everything nice. I was mowing the night before, and then one of the employees actually accidentally ran over the lawnmower that I just bought.
One of the like nice electric ego motors, like the really expensive fancy ones, just ran it over with the car.
Ran it over with the car because his truck's so jacked up he couldn't see it. Just drove right over the top of it, jacked it up. And so Matt grabbed his rider from home and came out the next morning, and his wife mowed the rest of the grass in the back. It was just I spent a good portion of, I think it was probably Monday or Tuesday, one of those days, getting the outdoor range set up so people could shoot. It was what we intended to have the whole time. We just hadn't gotten to it yet because this whole project has been like a 6-monther of just getting everything to where it should be before you try to really present it to the public. I mean, we were open largely because my employees were complaining that we were getting phone calls and wanting to know when it was going to be open. So we just opened before we were really ready to try to allow the emails and questions to stop and let people come in. Thursday was really, it took pretty much to Thursday for everything to really be ready. And it's still not perfect, but it's really close. And it was.
But talk about the tree that's in the middle, man.
Well,
talk about the tree. I did a tree.
When we originally looked at this place, which I do have to give. I have to give a lot of thanks to Brandon. If this shop wasn't I don't know if I would have done this if he didn't live nearby, because I wouldn't have had any idea what was really going on in the area. I mean, I could try to draw my own conclusions, right? But fortunately, he had a lot of inside information. He knew all the shops. He knew what went on in all of them. And he also knew the area as far as real estate's concerned on being able to say, hey, don't put it over here. You want to put it over there, that kind of thing. Which, if you remember right, we kind of argued a little bit on whether or not where I decided to finally put it was a good place to put it. You were worried about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was further out than optimally I wanted. But when you balance like the value of the real estate versus the cost of the real estate, how far people are having to travel, like I think you knocked it out of the park, dude.
I don't think we could have found a better overall spot, honestly.
Well, and I personally think the shop is very aesthetic, and I know we talked about that a little on the other podcast, but I was just super impressed with the aesthetics of the actual shop. It felt very classy and nice and put together. I like how it's kind of compartmentalized, easy to find stuff, and then obviously a boatload of inventory. So I was impressed before anyone even showed up. And then the event, again, was killer. I think you guys and your staff did a really, really good job, and I think everyone involved deserves kudos on that, because personally, I know how hard an event is, and it's, to your point, like it's a ton of effort. And then when it's over, you're drained, which we saw from you the past
I was falling
couple
asleep
of
at dinner. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we're
8
sitting
o'clock last night.
Had a very saucy Thai dinner, by the way.
Oh, dinner was
night
great.
Before. Night before.
No, last night you were also dozing
We were
off.
I know. We were at dinner though, and I was literally like falling asleep in the chair. It's a lot, and there's my life's always really full of a lot of stuff. To add that to it was a challenge in general,
And just to kind of bounce off that, we're at Total Archery Challenge right now. To me, it is so impressive that they do 14 of these a year, because if you think how much work one Bow Disciples Challenge, one grand opening, imagine doing that 14 times at even a bigger scale across the whole country. Like,
And
so
there's
impressive.
there's no we didn't quite get there, so like we're just going to delay this a few days. It's like no.
This
There's
is
people
when it's
coming
happening.
from the entire Southeast
Yeah.
to come to a Total Archery Challenge, rain or shine, like show up, open your vendor booth, the whole deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
Well, let's move off of massaging the balls of Total Archery Challenge and back on to massaging the balls of this event. The first, the cupping, the first impression of like how turnkey that facility was for me was like, what a great canvas. Like you could come in and not have to do demo, right? Because
Well, there was some, but not very much.
yeah, what a great canvas. And then canvas is cool, but the people in there, like I got to meet 4 or 5 of the staff and they seem like really solid, you know? So
They're super bought in, man.
yeah,
Like,
I think
they're-
you're off and rolling with
yeah.
a very good crew of people who seem very competent too, which is cool.
Yeah, they've
That's got to relieve the stress some, right?
there is, and I honestly I have to give a lot of that credit to Matt because he's been in that area for a really long
Because
time.
that's his
and
team, right? Like he
Well,
hired all those people.
Some of them were new to us, but in general, he knew a lot of them, and he did hire everyone throughout the go of it. And only, from my understanding, only 2 of them had come from a shop before. They were all independent outwise, but Matt knows what he's doing, and he has learned. His strong suits were not necessarily managing, but he's gotten a lot better about it, and it's always a focus whenever I come into town for a week. I'm spending a lot of time with him, trying to make sure he's delegating correctly and getting people in the right roles and going towards people's strengths and not trying to overload himself too much, which is the environment and situation that he came from. He was insanely overloaded. Like everything was thrown in his lap, and it kind of turns into a disaster after a while. And I told him, not this trip, but the prior trip, I looked at him and I said, you were me 15 years ago. You can't do it like this. It won't work. Like, trust me, I've done it. I've been there. I was you. I took ownership of everything. I knew everything. I didn't have notes on anything because I just knew what it was. It's great that you can remember it, but your people look foolish if they can't tell somebody what's going on, right? So there's a level above this when you're hitting a certain scale. And the scale that he was at was the scale I was at 15 years ago. I was like, I promise you, dude, it's not going to work. You gotta implement some of these things and delegate even farther. You have to give other people responsibilities and allow them to be in charge of their own responsibilities, and they'll feel better about their job if you do. You can't just hang on to everything. You got to let go a little more.
Yeah, it's a tough
he's
thing,
done a
though.
really good job.
Yeah.
'Cause I'll be honest. At first, I was a little nervous because it didn't seem like he was really good at letting go of responsibilities and giving them.
Brandon, does it seem like our little Joshy Poo is growing up?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that Josh is good at delegating to people. And I think that the difficulty is with the speed you had to move to actually get this done.
Yeah.
So, like, this is kind of like an entrepreneurial conversation. Like, you got word that this was a possibility within probably 2 weeks you were in Nashville. And then that trip, you decided where you were going to open. Like, it was pretty ridiculous. But then you were also going to use Matt.
But I couldn't have done that if I didn't know you.
I don't.
No, I'm serious. Like I wouldn't have. Well, I take it back. I could have done it, but I wouldn't have felt nearly as good about the decisions I was making.
Well, I saved you a lot of money. I'm really good at contract negotiation and stuff like that. Yeah, I
don't know. We were pretty close to building a piece of property on the dirt that you owned south.
Yeah.
Like we really were. In hindsight, maybe that would have been a better bet with some of the
No, it's fine.
poor decisions certain brands made along the way. Hey, nobody knows what I'm talking
Can you
about, but you
unpack
and me.
that?
No, we
No,
are
I
not
know.
unpacking that.
What you don't want to talk about that for 15 minutes and
No.
probably get canceled a little bit
No.
by
Wait, you don't want to
by a
talk
major
about
break? Come on.
No, hard pass. Hard pass. Believe it or not, there are lines I try not to cross
Well-
because there are consequences no matter how big you are.
No,
Even
but
though you are a nasty boy.
I am a nasty boy, but not as nasty as that fucker right
Let's
there.
go. Come
He's
on,
king
baby.
nasty.
I will say this
Short
about
king.
the party. We touched on it a little bit in the other podcast, but I did have the best hair at the party. I will just say that.
you know what?
but-
Fake news.
no,
Real
that's not
fake
true. You were so
news.
volumized,
Oh, the
dude. The
volume,
hair
bro.
was so volumized. I was so impressed.
Brianna, so she's in charge of my hair. So when we got an appearance where you got to, like he said, shake hands, kiss babies, maybe sign a couple titties, I need my hair to look nuts, right? So she'll spend so
Sign a
much time
couple
on my
titties.
hair.
You have not signed a titty in your life, other than with your own pen, maybe.
Hey, I'll get a picture next time so I can prove it.
I want to see that.
right,
there is
me
no
too.
way. There is no way.
I actually stand in the bathroom and sign my own titties on occasion, like, just to practice. Because you got to
There you go.
rehearse. Like, you don't want to just go
There
up
you
there
go.
first and do, yeah.
Well, all of you guys are experienced tack goers now. What's this one looking like?
I mean, yeah. The first tack I ever went to was 2019. Been ever since. A lot of years, multiple times. So have definitely hit a lot of years more than most people. So I do really like this tack. It's sort of a bummer, like that the weather is what it is. You know, kind of today we only did 10 shots, and that's a little bit of a bummer. But overall, like in the little bits of time that we did get to walk around the pits or the vendor village, whatever you want to call it. The fan interaction was really good. I love meeting people. That's a big part for me to come to these. And then obviously, like, I want to shoot good courses. And I thought the courses were really good. And I thought the walks were good and they were well built and safe. So I really liked it. I just sort of wish we got a little luckier with the weather. But that's the risk you run on an outdoor event.
You feel like we should have just kept going today? Because your camcorder was already destroyed. Like, you think about that now, right? It was already toast.
Well, but the reality,
why didn't we keep going?
There's a reality to that,
what do
though.
you
That was
Today.
We're using a different piece of electronics.
So that was
and mind you, we already had another piece of electronic failing at like target 3 or 4.
Right. So I'm not bummed we quit. Of course, I would have liked to finish, but given like part of the reason yesterday, I was like, hey, I'll do the second video because in case the weather gets bad, if my camera does break, I'm okay to eat the $150 from Walmart. So like, but I didn't want that.
It's a little
today.
more than that.
You know,
To be fair.
The last thing I wanted was someone else's camera to get blown out. So hopefully that didn't happen. Could we have continued with GoPros or something? Maybe, but even in the backpack, that camera gets soaked now. So I think it's good we backed out. I think the content, today's video, I think the concept, we got to give a shout out to Dodds for that. I was very hesitant when he told me.
I'm pretty stoked about that video.
But I loved it.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that format too. And I was with you. I thought it was going to be like kind of...
I thought it was ass when he told me. I'll just be honest. I thought it was so trash. But then when we actually did it, I'm like, you know what? This is actually good. Like, I loved it. But I do think the Zincan switch from the Arrow was better.
For sure.
Because it's more random.
Yeah.
But it was awesome because the team very much still matters. Like, both have to shoot good. And then if there's a huge discrepancy, you're like... oh, this flip means so much.
And then if one person's got more flipping skill than the other, that can balance it out. I mean, there's a lot going on.
Do you want to talk about
every
that?
Group, every group does have a Belichick in it.
Deflategate.
Do you want to explain the format at all or of what we did? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I think that would be an interesting thing.
It was similar to like a T-flip challenge in golf. Basically, we shot as a team. So if James and I were on a team, we would shoot our arrows. If I shot a 5 and James shot a 8, we would then flip a tee to see whose score we took, right? And if it landed on me, we would take the 5. If we landed on James, it would take the 8. Mm-hmm. So there's some randomness, but also if you consistently shot better scores, you were going to come out on top.
Totally. Yeah.
Which was fun. Yeah. I was worried it was going to be a little clunky, but it was fun.
What I loved the most about it was when you'd get a huge spread. Like one person in the group would shoot a 0, the other like a 10 or a 12.
Was it huge or a massive spread?
It was huge. It was huge. But yeah, I love that because there's a lot riding on it, you know. And
there was a couple of times where it was literally a 10 versus 0 spread.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
and then your cheeks are just
that's
like
a sweat, man. Like a big deal. Because
massive
obviously,
cheek
like
clench.
Pretty epic.
Yeah.
that's like the difference of literally a first or a third place trophy almost. So you needed those flips.
Pretty much.
right.
And Tim was, I will say, the flip god today. He was killing all those flips.
Not only is Tim shooting incredibly well, but
Way
he has
better than
apparently
last
mastered how to flip a Zen can.
I actually want to spend some time
It
on
had
it.
gotten to the point that we were going to have a controversy. You got so many of them the way you wanted in a row. I was like, whoa, hold on.
I will take a second to absorb the high quality premium gas coming right now.
So I would like to take a second to butter up Tim C here and say that last year compared to this year, I told Brianna, I was like, I literally think he got almost double as good.
I agree.
Way better.
Yeah. And his shot is half as long.
Half the length.
Half.
Yeah.
So I was really stoked to see that. That actually was my favorite part so far of the weekend. Was one, having fun with my boys and the ladies who will be on a pod for BDP here in a little bit. But seeing Tim just be light years improved was, I thought, really bitching. So good work.
Thank you.
I do think the longer bow potentially plays a factor, but mostly it's just the work you put in. And I'm sure that it's rewarding to see so much improvement in 1 year.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. Archery is fun. You know, I like, first things first, I come to these things to have a good time with the guys. Of all the things I've been good at, archery's not one of them. I've had to work really hard to be just okay.
Right.
So it's kind of weird and rewarding in that way. But yeah, I think the bow helps for sure. I think
What are you shooting, Tim?
I'm shooting the Dart and Sequel ST35. I kind of found Darton last year on a bit of a side quest with Josh. We were looking for the best budget bow, and the Darton Consequence kind of came out swinging really well, and it ended up being like my budget bow pick of the year for last year, and it's still one of my favorite short bows I've ever shot. So going into this year, we wiped the slate clean. And they're like, what are we going to shoot? What am I going to shoot for 2025? Because I don't have any allegiance or alliances. I'm not a sponsored shill or anything like anybody else in this room.
Or Josh? Freaking Matthews, dude. I can't believe it. Keep going.
Anyway, so we wiped the slate clean and shoot all the bows side by side by side. And one thing that was important to me was the ability to try to tune it on my own if I could. And then just how well it holds and shoots and is fun to shoot because if it's my primary bow, I'm going to shoot it a lot throughout the season. So, hopefully it feels good. It's fun to shoot. And yeah, the Dart Sequel just shook out on top of that. And it was largely because of my confidence from the Consequence too.
Right.
So it's been a good bow that way. And and to rewind like 3 weeks, spent some time getting ready for another event, our little Bison Ranch shoot. But I had to make sure my bow was ready. So I took the time to do third access and sight tape and all that stuff. So coming into this, I was fully confident.
I'm curious because I want to hijack this just for a little bit.
Yeah.
What did you do to speed your process up so much? Because it was genuinely twice or maybe even 3 times longer. Your holds were crazy long.
Yeah.
What did you do?
Yeah, well, I'm different than most people. Most people, if anything, they're going to tend to shoot too fast. And if they shoot poorly because they're going to get around the trigger and they're going to zap it.
I do not agree with that.
Yeah. Most people,
I shit you not, I think it's the exact opposite.
Josh,
I think when most people are bad, it's because they take too long to shoot,
Josh,
in my opinion.
You get to see a lot of people that come to camps and stuff like this that are hoping to improve their archery. Where do you land on that?
Honestly, I lean a little more towards James. I think people take too long.
Take too long?
Yeah. I think in general, it's in Consequence, it's usually struggling through the shot, no different than like watching me shoot yesterday. It was taking me a really long time to get the release to go off because it was set way too heavy. Because I had just picked up a new one, 10 arrows or something, and started shooting it, and I didn't dick with it. And I think that's a very common thing if you're trying to get your orientations right, trying to get everything square, trying to work through your shot sequence, trying to work through your trigger. If you're not firing within 7 to 11 seconds, you're dealing with oxygen deprivation.
Yes.
Right? So you're going to have a hard time working through it. And I was going to say the same thing. I mean, your shot sequence is easily half as long as it was. And I think a lot of that has to do with the release you're choosing to use and that you've really refined your process a lot. And it's noticeably, and I also would like to really point out that I haven't watched you shoot other than a couple of times that we shot brief little stuff. You're insanely better than you were.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, dude.
Like
it's not even the same ballpark.
It's not exaggerating. Like you're insanely better than you were.
Thank you.
And I honestly, I feel like I feel a little like I haven't been paying attention. Honestly, because I mean, granted, we've not shot together a lot because you're usually doing stuff and I'm doing stuff, right? But you've gotten so much better.
Thank you.
I'm and it's to your own work ethic or anything like that. But I'm really proud how much better you are than you were. Which you always worked hard. That was never a problem.
Yeah.
But it's like it really started to click or something.
Well, if I were to rewind the clock and like the things that have been important was one, internal rotation of my left arm, being able to internally rotate allowed me to suck my shoulder down further. And then that gets my front shoulder locked down as best as I could. It's something I've worked at, but really the internal rotation allows me to get front shoulder low. And then my sight picture looks better. And then I jokingly said, like, I'm like a fighter. I like to train heavy and then show up to the fight light. But I mean, that is kind of what I've done is I'll typically in the off season have a little heavier release. And then as I get closer to something that might be important, I'll take some tension out of it. And then
you're actually physically making a modification to the release?
Yeah. I'll typically train with it a little heavier and then fight light.
I'm
So it's
curious.
pretty light right now.
But that's actually a very smart thing to do.
Lighter than it has been.
But the only negative with that is it's a temporary solution.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Like
I don't know if it's temporary.
So
Sort of like a baseball
for
bat
most people.
donut
For
a
most
little bit,
people,
right?
it will be. Not everybody.
I think
but for
if
most
you
people,
said
it'll creep up on you and you'll start to react, and that's the problem. Like the lighter you get your trigger,
The easier it is to react.
Yeah, the lighter you get your trigger, the quicker your brain starts to react to it, and the more you'll have the the tendency to want to two-stroke it, as
Yeah,
James would say,
two-stroke.
right?
So
Yeah.
the thing I felt like visually I was seeing with Tim shooting that was different than last year that you could see with the eye, and I may be off base here, I felt like you were finding your anchor much faster. So
Yeah.
I think when you would draw, you wouldn't do any bouncing or waiting around or
Oh,
fiddling
like all
your
the
finger.
like the fidgety
Yeah,
things
he
that
was
golfers
just like
do.
drawing and getting right to it, and then he was probably cutting 3 seconds right there. And then the hotter release, I think, probably cut another 1 to 2
No,
seconds,
you're
if
bringing
not
up
more.
a good point because I did work at that. Is just
Yeah.
trying to get to it as fast as possible.
Are you changing where you're looking? Like, I don't know how conscious you are of this stuff, but like, are you literally like, okay, I used to look at the bow or I used to look at the target, and now I'm looking at XYZ?
No, I think a lot of it is I got to see myself shoot, and I would be like, I've gotten to watch enough good shooters shoot to be like, damn, I'm taking 10 seconds to start executing.
Right.
You
You're
know,
waggling too much. It's the
Yeah.
waggle. That's
so
what
I
it
need
is.
to decrease that time.
Which I do love his waggle, so I kind of miss that part, but I think it's worth eliminating to save some
I
time.
mean, Cam Haines has the waggle, dude. Like he drops
Yeah.
it low, comes back up. Like there's a lot of waggling.
Not as much as he used to.
I know, but I'm
But,
just
yeah.
like watching Cam in general. I've always noticed a lot of waggle. And I feel like what he's doing to himself on purpose is he's like, no, I'm better when I'm fatigued and tired and my shot process is long. And then slap that bitch.
Yeah, because they definitely slapping that bitch. The slap master himself.
Yeah. And then I've really settled into to just the index is like, you know, I think 3 years ago, I probably believed like a thumb button was a superior release. Mm-hmm. I just kind of believe that. I looked at like most Vegas shooters, they're shooting thumb buttons and hinges, and I'm like, I should really learn to shoot that. And apples to apples, I just probably execute more consistently with an index.
What are you
Because
shooting
I can
right
push
now?
and pull, and then I can add a little finger squeeze too. Yeah.
You
He's
just
shooting a Stan. Yeah, Solex.
Stan
Solex.
Solex, yeah. Without the click.
I was going to say, not the click.
Yeah, the click tends to hang me up, and I end up shooting a little longer with the click. So, yeah.
Well, anyway, I think it's
Not to-
awesome what you've been doing.
Not to drop and foreshadow danger, but that's a little concerning if that holds you up and hangs you up.
Yeah.
With taking the decision to advance and accelerate
Yeah.
that part, that's how it'll creep up on you.
Yeah. I tend to feel like, I don't know, not to get into a deep dive on my shot, but when I get to that click, I feel like I'm almost like trying to shoot before I've gotten to the click, and then I get to the click, and it's like, okay, now let's restart.
Right.
Whereas I
you've
know
got
if
like
I
half
heard
the distance again.
if I heard Joel coach it or something, or maybe you coach it, Josh, you might say, just get your pin on the thing,
And get to the
click, and then engage your shot.
engage your shot.
So I feel like I'm engaging, unengaging, re-engaging, and then it ends to, long holds or whatever.
That which is a mental decision.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're just advancing yourself into the click position, that's
Yeah.
to ensure that you have trigger pressure
Yep.
before you start to execute a shot.
Yeah.
No different than a 2-set trigger.
Yeah.
Right. Same premise.
But what's so crazy about this to me is like just the variation in the way we all shoot, the difference. Like watching James shoot is so different from watching you shoot.
Fair.
But
Yeah. Watching James move through the day is so different than watching Josh move through the day.
yeah, that's valid. Yeah, he just skips like a ballerina down the mud path.
They're just navigating a little differently.
I'm still just floored like at how well James shoots, given all the rules he breaks all the time. It just works.
Zimbabwe.
a little
Is that
Zentino.
the same one you started with? Or
just
did you?
pulled her off the top.
Okay, okay.
Are we going to get you to Zen up during this pod?
I did, or I
Aren't
did
you already?
beforehand.
Oh, yeah, he's
I'm
prepped.
trying not to interrupt the entire time.
You Zinned,
I zinned right
you
beforehand.
sober Zinned.
Yeah.
How was the experience? Because you
Ooh, that's a good question. Because last night I drunk zen. I will tell you, it feels like you're being pulled apart when you drunk zen. You got the depressant of the heavy, the 8% ABVs, and then the zen that's pulling you up here. It felt very weird. I feel energized, focused. I feel like I could do math really well right now.
I love it.
This is a very intriguing thing because I've never had one.
Well, nicotine actually has a lot of positive health
Well,
benefits.
I've had nicotine. I've just never had a Zyn.
Like our buddy Drew, who never nicotine and then started zinning for the health benefits, which I think is just wild.
Right out of the gate.
Give me
But,
a drug for my health.
Focused
Yeah.
and concentrated.
Because it is hard to quit nicotine. It's very difficult.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But there are some things that it's good for. So, proceed with caution.
What do those things cost? A pack of the Zins.
Honestly, they're kind of cheap when you think
So
about
if you
it.
shop the website, I don't buy them.
I wouldn't
really.
do that. No, give me the retail when I walk into
Retail,
a place.
I don't know, but yeah, probably like $8. But if you're a price conscious guy, you can probably get it down to 5.
Walmart.com.
Yeah. No, Zen.com, baby.
And you can get discounts.
Oh, the direct-to-consumer model.
Oh, 100%. Especially if you buy in bulk. You buy a couple rolls, they call them.
You know what
Rolls?
I'm really surprised
I
by,
thought they're
James?
called logs.
You haven't pulled a Zen sponsorship yet. That should be so simple for you.
Well, the funny part is, to be honest, I'm not a huge Zen guy, but here and there when I'm in a social setting, I'll eat those things like candy. But by myself, I won't do them for like 2 weeks, you know? So for me, it really has to do with my setting. It's just kind of interesting. But like for me, it's just like a pick up and put down type of thing, which is kind of contrary to what Tim said. But
I kind of want
everyone's
to try.
different,
I
you
want to
know?
like sub it out for coffee for a week in the morning and just see if it feels.
That would actually be nuts, dude. That might be your next old school Brandon McDonald with all the charts about golfer. This one's just about coffee and sins. You know what I mean?
Just experiment.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm
anyway,
into it,
tests
yeah.
every
Coffee
day.
versus Zen.
But Brandon,
Here we go.
you were just about to tell everyone how good my shooting was. So if you want to do it again, go.
Yeah. Now
Not
it's-
gonna hurt my feelings
we
at all.
did this. We stroked Tim,
Yeah.
and now it's time to stroke James.
I'm totally joking.
No, I mean, I am consistently impressed, and I'm also. It's so interesting. Like you did your Bow Disciples poll thing. I feel like you're a little underestimated as a shooter. Like you were underestimated.
Yeah, I don't feel that way.
No,
Really,
people
but-
think you're shit, dude.
yeah, sure. I don't know. I think.
I don't feel that way. I've always been a champion, born
Yeah.
a champion.
I don't know. I don't really feel like I break too many shooting rules, as you would say. I don't think any of my forms like necessarily abstract. I
no,
just
particularly
think
like your setup to the shot is very traditional. It looks good, like the tee and the
thank
shoulder
you.
position, and
Yeah, okay, but when you draw back, how wide does your mouth open every single time?
So I am going to eliminate the mouth gape after this
Are
trip.
you sure?
really.
Yeah, I think I'm
Why?
going to eliminate. Just because in
It's
pictures and
iconic.
stuff, it looks so goofy.
That's gonna fuck your stuff up, dude.
So actually, prior to this trip, I had practiced mouth closed a little bit, and I
Oh
was like,
my
okay, I'm
God.
hitting the same spot. But for
Are
this
you?
trip, I'm not messing with anything, so the mouth is gaped.
That's some epic thunder, right
Dude,
there.
Oh
the whole
my
house
God.
is
Shaking
shaking.
the house.
They're probably getting just a little bit of that.
But the
in
mouth
background.
thing is really, it drops my jaw
Yep.
like, a little bit, which drops my hand lower.
It drops your release down.
Because I used to anchor even higher, and now I've kind of like dropped it a little bit throughout the years. And
More to a traditional anchor point with a handheld.
yeah, sure. Mine used to be very vertical and like more here, which I liked. But
Did
I
you
felt it-
overdraw?
What do you mean?
Like, was the string past the tip of your nose?
No, I always ran the tip of the nose, but if you watch my string, even now it doesn't intersect with the corner of my mouth. Even now it's a little above, but less than it used
most
to be.
most axle bows, that's what you're going to run into more often than not now.
Yeah.
When
Longer?
they were longer, you'd cross your mouth.
So most
as
shorter
they become
axle
shorter
to-
axle
okay,
to axles, they don't cross your mouth in the same spot. Some people can, but in general, most people don't. If you're touching your nose to the string and being fair about your anchor.
And I think this would actually be an interesting point because we've actually done a very good job sticking to archery this pod, so I'm kind of proud of our group. But this is an archery one that I think is interesting. I talked to Brianna asked Paige about face pressure when we shot together, and she's like, people, in her opinion, she's like, think about face pressure way too much. Because she's like, honestly, as long as the pressure is in front of any like fold of your skin, doesn't even matter. Like the string's gone so far before it can deflect. But if it's behind something like this, then it can like actually bounce out and distort, was kind of her view. And I thought that was interesting because you always hear people say, oh, the string's got to be completely off your face and this and that.
You know how to avoid that.
I don't want to disagree with Paige Pierce, but I kind of disagree. Go ahead. You go first.
You know how to avoid that?
Avoid what?
The string getting around something.
Don't be
Get
fat.
leaner?
Don't be
No.
super foldy
No,
and
not
giant.
at all. You can be fat as you want and run it that way. Put your head in the position you're going to fire in before you draw your bow back. It's impossible to have it come around.
Sure.
You're always pulling the string into you, which is why in an appropriate shot process, you'd have your feet set, your hips set, your shoulders set, your head set before you ever pull your bow back.
Ball is set.
Yeah.
Yeah, balls tucked. Nice, good.
Hence the jostling and whatnot when you get it back. That's
Yeah.
how you run into that. You'll hook things around.
That's another interesting form thing I'll see on some people is I'll notice that some people will like, it's almost as if they're scared their release is going to break before the shot or the cam rolls over. So they'll kind of move their head out of the way.
yeah,
what
that's
I do,
very
Draw
true.
and
That's-
come
yeah,
in.
that's
And I
foolish.
think, is that kind of
No
what you're
offense.
talking about,
What?
Josh?
That's foolish. Yes, that's
No,
exactly.
I
That's
know
what
I
you're talking
shouldn't
about.
do
Exactly.
it.
You should always.
So
you
you're
should,
saying just
you
draw
should always.
straight.
You should always bring your bow hand into you. You do not move yourself to your bow hand.
Totally
So you
agree.
get your head set originally. Like so, when I come up to a target, I shouldn't move the mic away from my face. When I come up to a target, I orientate my head the way it's supposed to sit before I pull my hand up to the target, and then I draw it back and bring myself into it. So if it doesn't move, there's no way that you can pull the string around anything, which is why I don't ever lose any hair off my face. So I can shoot with this big beard and I don't like have hairs ripping out. Because I'm pulling it straight in and it's only going straight away.
Which is ultimately kind of what Paige said as well.
100%,
She said, yeah, it doesn't even matter if someone was super overweight. I think she did say that. Like, it just has to do with coming straight to the anchor rather than come out here and then move.
Yeah, if you're pulling the string straight in the path it's going to leave, and how in the world can it possibly catch anything?
The only thing is, if you push into it with varying amounts of pressure, I still feel like you're affecting the up and down. So you're not going to affect your left and rights as much, but I still feel like you'll affect your up and downs. And at Paige's level, obviously she's shooting with guys. Like if you look at some of the indoor guys, they have crazy face pressure. Like some of the dudes, they're wrapped in there so hard, dude.
As long as it's the same, it doesn't matter.
Exactly. As long as it's the same. But is it like, okay, you can vary by a quarter of a pound of pressure and it's cool? Or is it like, no, it's a half an ounce? And that's the level that you're at. I wonder about that kind of stuff all the time.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It's interesting.
Yeah. I'm not gonna actually like go against what Paige is saying.
Well, I just thought it was an interesting.
You would be a fool to
it.
actually go against what Paige is saying.
No, I do like the videos that James has done where
Did you just
they're
call out
acting.
Paige for a 1v1? Did that just happen?
Bring it on.
I'm sure
Bring
you
it on.
would. She would be like wasting her time.
Brought to you by the
What are you
Josh and Tim
talking
Pod.
about?
I'm saying
I can own souls.
you're amazing this weekend.
Amazing.
She will crush your fucking soul in like 3 shots.
So
That's
will
my
say,
kind of girl.
It's kind of fun discussing our last tack and this one, and then next year probably the same thing with 3 years of history. But it's kind of fun because you were very consistent last year as well, much better than like going in. I don't know why. I just was like, I don't think Brandon will be that good, to be honest.
He's trash.
And he was
Dog
so
cheeks.
consistent and good last year. And this year, it's like the same guy, super consistent, super good, and maybe even like improved over last year, I think, as well.
Are we talking about results? Because I would love to talk about
Yeah.
results.
I think this
We
is going
can
to come
result
out
it.
Monday after this Monday. So, yeah.
Okay, I just feel like
10
I'm
days or
winning
something.
everything. I just feel like I'm the winner right now. I'm
should.
winning so much.
You actually
You're
have
doing great.
swept
So much winning.
You've swept everything so far.
Yeah, so I'm sweeping
Which is
so
massive
far.
for your program.
I'm sweeping so
Massive
far
for the
because
program.
James just shit the bed on the very last target and launched a 0 when he was solidly in the lead. And then I think I shot a 5 to take it.
No, you
counts.
shot a 12.
Shot
Oh,
12, dude.
okay.
Yeah,
I sluiced a 12.
It was a
That
12
awesome.
In a
swing.
torrential
12
in
in a torrential
the
downpour.
monsoon.
You
Yeah.
couldn't
In
even see the
monsoon.
target. I don't know how you did that. That's
Which you're going to
amazing.
be able to find on James's channel, right? You'll be able to watch
That was
the
James's,
showdown,
Yep.
which is wild in the rain. And we'll all have a video that come out from this.
Yeah.
So,
And I think that's cool how we bounce all 4 videos and 4 different concepts between everybody. I think that's a lot of fun. And the team stuff, I really like get a kick out of. And today it was fun to throw in a third team because we've only done 2 traditionally, so it was fun to have a third. Just adds another element, you know. And I think our group is pretty respectful of people's pace as well. We try to move quick and let people pass through if they need to. But today it was a little tough with trying to get cameras to not fog and
Yeah.
things, but we did
Yeah.
okay.
well, one thing
Mechanical issues
about
make it tough.
last year versus this year is your substance level is just a lot different. You know what I mean?
What do you mean about
What does that mean?
I mean, James was under the influence during his last year.
Are you talking about during the
On the
podcast?
pod?
Oh, yeah.
The
yeah.
gummy, dude.
Yeah, James had himself
The
a gummy.
gummy of destiny.
It is nice to have you here this time.
Yeah, you were
wonderful.
on planet Zimbabwe.
By this point, I was
whatever the
sitting
fuck.
doing this.
He was
I
mute.
gotta pee.
Yeah, it was insane. But
Yeah.
overall, really good weekend. Excited to give it another rip tomorrow. Hopefully, we get a little luckier with the weather.
Yeah.
You know?
I've never been a part of something like this with electronics involved where, I mean, we got hit with almost sleet yesterday and just heavy.
We had
heavy-
hail, dude. At one point, we
heavy
had legit
rain.
hail.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
the thickest, heaviest rain you could imagine came down for a little while yesterday. And then everything is interesting in Tennessee as a first-time Tennessee explorer. A lot of things are clayed out, so it gets mushy pretty quick and slick
It gets super slippery.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we've got the limestone. So you've got the combination of.
Which is why the good moonshine comes out of here.
That's right. The filtering. The good old Jack Daniels filtering.
I just got an idea for the concept for next year. Tell me if you boys think this isn't bad. What if we did 4 team videos instead of 1 individual and 3 teams, and then overarching, try to pin together like an overall total? Because that would give us an additional video in another game.
Because then you'll win, though, and I don't like that, and I don't want that. I like to win by cheating.
Yeah, give me my event right now. I'm 500 on the so far, and I like that about it.
No. I'm up for whatever. Because the reality is for me, like just getting to hang out with everybody and like, because this is such a departure and an escape from normal life for me.
Yeah,
getting to just be in a house with everybody that's going out and shooting, and then
it's kind of like a grown up. You know,
it feels like
college,
it feels like a grown up like hunting camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do wish you would have gotten us a little bit bigger, nicer house. We're kind of in a dump here.
By the way, I'm going to need you to Venmo me $1,500.
Okay, it's on the way.
Just send me. No, I'm just kidding. We do have a tremendous
Did I
house.
pay you yet?
It doesn't matter. I don't know.
Well, check, because I thought I did.
Okay, I don't remember. You might have been the only one.
Well, I've
Get your phone out. Pay me.
I'm going to take
Pay me,
my,
right?
my
actually, you know what? I
flop
want a
shift.
Title 34, so I'll trade you. It's pretty much the same. You owe me $300 for this, or give me a Title 34.
That's an option. Something tells me there's a little bit of a price disparity here.
No, it's not. There's not. It's the same. It's the same.
Did I miss anything while I was draining the vein? Anything
not
good?
really.
No, not at all.
Nothing good.
What was the last thing you
No,
discussed?
James and I, we were talking. We were just talking about the terrain difference in tack. Actually, that's an interesting question. Like, have you guys had bad weather in any of the other tacks that you've done?
I've skirted a little lightning, a little rain, but
like
nothing.
way up high, like Utah, Montana, like some of the ones that are lightning up high is terrifying.
There was one year in Montana that we had really bad weather, but I want to say we missed it mostly. Yeah. Dan decided to go back out with Bodie last year, and they got douched bad. And the biggest issue, it's not dealing with weather, it's dealing with your equipment working in the weather. And I don't mean bows. I mean all the electronic stuff. Like they're not designed to deal with that at all.
Well, and things happen fast when you party in the mountains. Like that's where that stuff forms.
Yes.
And then all
not
of a sudden
wrong.
it's boom. You know, it's on
it
top
comes
of you.
up on you really quick and you're not prepared.
But I would assume it's probably worth it. If you're not going to film, like most people that are watching this are probably not going to be out there
of
filming
course,
with
yeah.
Go and shoot it.
$10,000 cameras.
Go and shoot it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Go shoot it.
Oh, 100%.
So what we were noticing at longer distances was everyone was hitting low.
Oh, well, there's drag. There's a lot more drag.
Through
no different
water?
through water
'Cause we're
for sure.
shooting through water.
for sure. No different than when we both shot that elk right at the
Yeah.
end there. And we both hit like what 6 inches low, 8 inches low,
right at the bottom of the insert.
Identical difference in drop.
Yeah.
I mean, our left to rights were a little different, but the drop was the same.
Was mine better or
Yours
worse
was
than-
better.
Yeah. I love
Yours was
that.
better. Par for the
I love
course
that.
this weekend.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good.
How much of that is string weight? I've always wondered that because the water's
thought about
got
that.
away.
I think
on
it's
the
a
string.
combination of both.
Yeah.
I think it's string
It
weight,
has
and
to
I
be a
think it's
combination.
drag.
And I think the
that-
drag through the air has got to be a lot,
100%.
right? I mean, you're talking
I
about...
think it's more the arrow than
Yeah.
the string, but I think it's both.
Okay,
Because
so-
I think you're getting 3 ways to make your shot hit lower. You're getting obviously the air density and the rain pushing the arrow down.
Yeah.
2, the arrow's a little bit heavier because it's got water on it. And 3, the string is heavier because it's got water on it.
Yes.
So I think
think-
all those things added up, wouldn't you say?
I think number 2 is a negative there, sir.
Which one?
You don't
The
think-
water on the arrow.
Okay.
Like at rest before
I think
it launches?
the second it comes off your bow, all the water's in your face,
Yeah.
not on your arrow.
It
Yeah,
departs
but
really
it's
fast.
still got to shed that water.
No,
Man,
it's water in the air. Sure.
Yeah, but
100%.
this is like us arguing over like vein stuff at 100. This is like stupid and super and granular.
Well-
Like we don't have to. But there is no doubt that at distance, 92.5 was what we shot the elk at, and both of us were 6
We're
inches
identical.
low.
Like it couldn't be.
And
any
it was
more
a
the same.
million% because of the combination of whatever the things that water was doing to the setup.
So I've got something pretty interesting. I talked about, I think most of you about this leading up to it was, I was doing some shooting at the range prior to coming here, just making sure my sight tape was on. And I was dead nuts at 40, like 2 to 3 inches high at 70, and like 4 to 6 inches high at 90. And I was wondering, well, when I go to Tennessee, I'm dropping elevation, going from 2,500 to roughly sea level. And then also gaining humidity, probably going from 0% humidity to closer
Yeah.
to 100. And I was wondering, would my sight tape balance out with those things?
I would argue that it absolutely balanced out because I haven't seen up and downs from you at all.
I would say 100%.
I mean, I've seen some left and rights, but I haven't seen any up and downs.
Especially if
You've
we
been
included
nailing
the
it.
rain.
Yeah.
Like, if anything, I'm tending to trend low.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is totally just, I guess you would say,
And
subjective over what I've seen.
But for the
personally.
purpose of like people listening, I'm shooting 70 pounds, 430 grains, 28.5-inch draw length. And just was really curious coming into this, like, was that going to even out or not?
Yeah, and as far as the elevation thing goes, I've definitely seen big differences in elevation change on tapes, but I will say I don't ever see a difference until you're over like 8,000 feet for me personally. So
But
from
you're
like
coming from what? Sea level?
about, and I don't tend to see much of a difference at all till past 8,000, and that could just be me. I don't know if that's everybody, but for like lower elevation, like 5,000 and less, I don't see.
How about humidity though?
Humidity is what I was going to say. I think is what
This
was
is
making
humidity.
more of the difference.
Yeah, this is humidity.
Would
I
you
think.
say that about elevation, that you don't see much of a gap?
Yeah, I
until it's,
normally
like,
don't see
pretty
much until
high?
you get to higher, just like you're saying. But humidity absolutely
Oh,
plays
for
a
sure.
factor.
What I was gonna say-
and that was an impressive piss
Oh,
stream
dude,
I was hearing.
I
on
heard
the-
it sounded like
extreme.
it sounded like a
apologize.
fire hose in there.
I apologize.
Do you have a new nickname now, Python?
Shout out to Brandon's spouse. She's happy.
I'm a garter snake.
Yes,
you-
that is a happy spouse you have,
I'm a
sir.
garter snake.
Did you have to stand on your tiptoes so the tip wasn't in the water, or what?
No, it was. It was displacing the water inside.
That explains that noise.
That's why it was so loud.
so loud. That
sorry.
makes sense.
I'm sorry.
High quality stream.
You might actually catch that in the background noise.
No, but Brandon, we
embarrassed.
were talking about how elevation changes sight tapes and air density. And I will tell you that specifically relative to golf ball, different things got dimples flying through the air for a longer period of time.
You'd still think you have similar
But
effect.
no, but I can tell you, like, pretty firmly, going from roughly sea level to 5,000 feet is typically 10%. So if I was to hit a club 100 yards at sea level, I would hit it 110 yards at 5,000 feet.
Sure.
So would that be similar or different in archery? I think it's less, right?
It's far less.
It would be less.
Yeah.
You have way less wind resistance against an arrow than you do.
There's. Well, now hang on. It would be similar if we were shooting 400 yards.
Sure.
'Cause there's
like
flight
total
time.
distance, right?
Total distance, right?
Yes.
And it's literally total distance and it's flight time.
Yeah,
Right? The longer that
that's a good
sits
point.
there, the more it can take an effect. And when you're using a golf club or a golf ball, and by no means am I any knowledge in golf whatsoever, you're hitting a golf ball as far as you can hit it with
Yes.
the club that you have.
Yep.
So it'd be like maxing out your bow as far as you can hit it
Yep.
with, as far as you can shoot it with the arrow you have. It's going to have a greater effect because it's a much greater distance.
Yeah.
So it is much less, but it is still relevant.
It's
and it's still
something.
measurable, 100%.
And that's, again, I am a huge precision cut fan.
Are you huge or are you huge?
Huge, maybe the biggest. I love their I love their tapes. I love them. So my
James-
buddy Joey, shout out to Joey. He makes my tapes because he has the Garmin. So we're able to do my speed at 20 and 60, and then all the measurements.
It is
and
the most accurate way to
it's
do it.
so ridiculous how confident I am in these tapes that he'll print me one out. I don't even feel like I need to test it. I can go to 20 all the way to 130, and I'm so confident it'll hit on the money
I would argue that a little
almost
bit.
every time.
But will you
For me.
change it? Okay. But we're talking about elevation difference. Will you change it? Like if you were going to go hunt 10,000 feet in Wyoming, would you actually bring other tapes and go try to dial in? Or are you like, listen, I might hit a little bit high while I'm up here. I might hit a little low, whatever.
So
Like,
at
are you-
10,000, I would definitely change it.
You
I'd
would
have-
actually bring
yes,
it?
I would have him make me one for
you-
10,000.
Yeah, you can put it in there as 10,000
Yeah, you can
feet.
put it
and
in
that's
there.
The one thing that Tristan doesn't have in there, which I would love for him to do, is humidity.
Yeah.
Say, look, I'm leaving this environment that has none and going to this environment that has a lot. Can you displace that?
But I hate the idea of being like, okay, I used his program and I got dialed in, and when I'm in San Diego, I'm hitting X amount high, and I just have to trust that when I get to this place, I'm going to be
I
good.
love that concept because that's what the differences come from. The differences come from humidity and elevation, and he already has an elevation change. Like I can build a tape in Spokane and say I'm going to Big Sky at 10,000 feet or 9,000 feet, and tell it I'm going to 9,000 feet, and it'll print it different.
And you trust it that much?
Fucking
I do.
1,000%. No different than the
Yeah.
precision rifle guys trust the same information.
I trust it
It's 100% accurate.
100%. And it's actually
And-
funny, Brandon, because when you
and-
change my
yeah.
tape from San Diego level, which even though I'm at sea level, I'll set it for about 4,000 feet because, like I said, I don't see a difference from like 0 to 8,000. So I'll just kind of put it in the middle and run that for everything until I surpass 8,000. Then I'll have them make me one for, say, 10,000. And when you compare them, there's actually a pretty big amount of difference as you get further in yardage.
Yeah.
But for me, it is way accurate. Like, I really, really like the elevation feature. But if you asked me that same question and you said you were hunting, I was going on a hunt at 5,000 feet or 6,000, I wouldn't change it. I wouldn't change it till I get over 8 personally.
I think there's a difference by 6.
By 6,000. Yeah.
think
So
there is.
somewhere, let's say between 6 and 8 is where maybe you start to really see the gap.
And I think you're probably referring to most of your conversation as the air density, humidity is similar, right?
exactly.
Out west, we don't have humidity.
When you were in the bathroom, I was hoping that Tristan can add humidity.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the difference between where we're from and
Yeah.
here is drastic.
Humidity
Same
and-
with you.
For sure.
Humidity
All
and
three of the four of
elevation,
us
yeah.
are from environments that aren't humid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And going into an environment that's very humid.
That's
And
why I'm
I
winning.
shouldn't say that anymore because I practically live here, right?
Yeah, you do.
Is it
Right,
humid
so,
or is
I
it
mean-
moist?
I prefer the term moist.
Well,
I really
this
do.
trip has been
I
exceptionally
love moist.
moist.
This has
Exceptional
been
moist.
the definition of moist.
The moistest trip I've
In fact, I
been
don't
on.
think there's
This
a
trip been-
part that isn't moist anymore.
This trip been Jason
I'm gonna drink
Momoa
this. I
walking
don't think
through
it's
a
the extra?
bachelorette
I don't think it's
party.
mine, but I'm going
Oh, no, I
I'm
brought
saying
an
they
extra
totally
just in
missed my
case.
ball. It was a
Smart
good
man.
bar.
And we're
though.
at 52 minutes, so we'll be okay.
But,
'Cause I still have a little
I
left.
feel like we're just getting started, boys.
we're just
Well,
getting
we can just
rolling.
roll into the next one. And add some other
I
people.
will say without question, and I said it once, I'll say it again. I'm so proud how we're on topic, major on this one.
I can't
The
believe
archery guys will
we're
love it.
I agree. I
We
can't
didn't even
believe
dive
it.
off in any cinema or nothing.
No,
Nothing.
don't
No.
talk about any of that other stuff.
We talked about cinema the first time I did a pod in Washington for about 75% of the show.
all the
We talked
archery
about Brandon's stream for a good long
Oh,
while.
yeah.
Which
he
is
did
very
it.
impressive,
It
by
was
the way.
impressive.
No, I stand on top of the toilet so that I've got a lot more
To get some
fall.
extra elevation.
yeah. There's some serious power behind that.
No,
That's
stream,
what those
though.
little
I'm
footmarks
I'm
were on the
pushing
toilet?
so hard. I'm literally.
Those little dirty footmarks on the toilet.
Is that you? That makes a lot of
I
sense.
do actually. There's a bunch of debris in the sink in there, and
Yes.
I wonder what
Who
the
did that?
debris in the
I will
sink
tell you.
is.
Is it your shoes
It's
while you're
because
trying
of
to-
me. Yeah, it's because I was trying out my boots. I will clean it before we leave. Nobody worry.
It's disgusting.
But,
You're
uh,
the most
It
disgusting.
was because of me.
So disgusting.
But yeah, it's I think humidity is a huger, much bigger factor than elevation.
This is the other thing, the other component of this. It has to do with how well you shoot. Because if you're a guy who can hit a 10 ring at 92, which you have proven to be consistently, versus if you have an 18-inch group at 92, I would argue that it's not worth messing with the tape.
What's
I
crazy though
agree.
is like
I
his ability to hit a 10 ring
You're
at
wrong.
92 versus his record this weekend.
Oh, dude.
That's because he's not good at zip flipping. He's not good at zip flipping.
The overall points to my record is like, so the Padres had that in I think 2022 where their run differential was like they should have been like the best team and they didn't even
falling
make the
asleep now.
playoffs. That's me this trip, just ass with results.
Well, what's amazing about that is you've had a great attitude the whole time.
Yeah,
like
you
it hasn't
course.
affected you at
You've
all.
been-
I don't. I never really have cared about wins or losses. I just do want to show up and do my best.
You've been
And-
humble in victory and humble in
Dude,
defeat.
oh, for sure. I think I've shot very well this week. Maybe
I would piggyback on top of that. So you have shot very well.
Thank
this
you,
weekend.
Tim. Very well. But no, I appreciate that.
Stroking the ball.
Shit, I don't know. I just think we've been out here like a happy, fun bunch, and it's been great.
Yeah.
So,
And I really hope that the people that have been listening will take a chance to subscribe to the channel. Because in the future, you will definitely share your carp recipe on here.
oh yeah, yes. Next time I'm on the pod, we'll spend.
It's got a
about
pretty
45
epic
minutes.
carp recipe.
Yeah.
It takes a while to hear it all, but it's really good.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what
It's
podcasts
worth
are for.
listening. When he does it, it's worth listening for sure. It's also
100%.
worth going
You would think
to.
for a carp, like it's kind of unmanageable for most people. It's not.
Not when you use
typically-
my recipe,
Not
so-
typically dinner fare, but yeah.
You start with a mesquite board.
No.
I'm kidding.
That's for another time.
I'm kidding. But shoot, I don't know. What's your guys' favorite part about the little bit of time we've got to see the Tennessee venue for TAC? What's your favorite part about it?
I like the tunnel shots. I think it reminds me a little bit of growing up in the Midwest with some hardwood, stuff like that. You're shooting through some pretty cool tree foliage, and they have good opportunity to make some cool shots with not a ton of elevation, but enough. And then the tree foliage. And the people have been good. So far of all the venues I've been to, San Antonio, had some of the most badass people that were just excited to be there and shook a lot of hands and stuff like that. But Tennessee also feels that way to me, where the people are they're very, I would say they treat you as your friend immediately, you meet a lot of people that are just their guard's not up, they're polite, they're friendly, and yeah.
I taught them to be that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in general.
You seem that way, with people that you're engaging with. I'm like, does he know this person?
If you act like you know everybody,
Yeah.
but you don't act like they know you, I don't have the
there's a
ego to
difference,
act
though,
like they know me.
between knowing them and being familiar, too.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah. No, truthfully, everybody in general in the South tends to be pretty kind.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that in the Midwest, upper Midwest, South Dakota, North Dakota, that area, that's very, very northern Midwest. Everybody's very kind.
Yeah.
The East Coast people are kind of dicks.
Pretty much every conservative state. Just saying.
Do you notice a difference?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
from
interesting.
Washington, from Spokane.
That's
100%.
It's interesting, but
it's reality.
yeah, sure. But I always say that I really believe that most people I run across in San Diego are extraordinarily nice, even if I can tell they're big
but in all
libtards.
fairness, San Diego is massively conservative.
Orange County's red.
Yeah.
dude,
Orange
literally.
County's red, but that's
Yeah.
it. Or Orange County's red, and everything south is red. You're in a conservative city.
San Diego's definitely blue, but there's a lot of 100%.
A lot of military guys in San Diego,
There's a
dude.
lot, but 100%. But I still love
How
it.
many
right?
homeless people you got there,
Oh,
son?
we got a lot of homeless. A lot. Shout out to the homeless community, but I will say this.
Shout out to the homeless precision cut archery. Use it. Make
Yeah.
sure your tape's right, everybody.
Code
For
Pump
you.
Station.
And don't forget to take some sins.
So I have loved what I love about every TAC is talking to people that watch the show, because to me that's really, really cool. And this is the best way to connect, where I can meet a lot of people that are from the same cloth. And I think that's really cool. For example, today I met this kid who I sent a couple shirts a while back, and he's, I don't know, probably 13, if that, and does YouTube for archery and does hunting. His name's Bobo Outdoors, just a little
Bobo,
killer.
B-O-B-O Outdoors. That's
No,
his channel?
BEAO.
Yeah, that's
Bow
like Southern Bow.
Outdoors. And the kid, it was so dope to meet him. He literally ran up to me. And I
That's
was like,
awesome.
my guy, right? So I love to see the younger generation pushing content, push and grow in the sport, because that's the most important. What psychs you out more than a kid stoked on watching? So to see a kid pushing content, getting stuff done so young, I'm like, I am here for it.
That's super
So
cool.
that's always really neat to me.
Definitely more children, more womenings.
What was that?
More womenings?
Huh?
Women?
There
More
was a
children,
bunch. There was a lot of
more women,
Every year I've been, there's
more
been
families.
more women.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a growing
It's
part
definitely
of
becoming more of a.
Are you bored? Are you
family.
scrolling?
No, I'm trying to find. I was gonna
Take your family to the weekend.
Are you
stop
reading
it.
Twitter, political
No,
Twitter?
god damn it!
Is that porn?
Hey.
What are you doing right now?
I'm trying to go off of what
Unbelievable.
James said, because I had the same thing in San Antonio. There was this young little girl who was doing the same thing, and I'm trying to find. I want to actually shout out her thing, and I'm trying to find her actual stuff from me. But it was she was 7 years old or 8 years old.
Doing a
already
YouTube
killed,
channel?
Yes, already killed multiple animals. Walked up to me 4 different times to try to talk to me. Interviewed me.
Interviewed you? That's
Interviewed
beautiful.
me.
Legend. I need to
bit.
see that.
What a legend.
Can we put the
Dude, we
link
gotta
of that?
But it's,
Yeah,
her,
we
it's
gotta find
hers.
her.
I'm,
That's
I'm trying
amazing,
to find
dude.
her. Where you tell me I'm wasting time looking at my
So-
phone.
I'm
So-
obviously
you dick.
joking.
So-
I know that's not what you're doing.
So while
It's
he
like
finds
Maddie
this,
something. I gotta find it. Hang on, make a search.
So while he
well,
finds
no,
this-
it's in my friends. I only have a small amount of friends.
So while he
Apparently,
finds
half
this-
of them are in this room.
I'm such a loser.
I have no friends. Nobody likes me.
So while he finds this,
on,
I
I'll
think
find it right now.
again, a girl, if her name's Maddie.
Here we go. Right
this
here.
girl.
Here.
Here we go.
It's Maddie Joe Outdoors on
That is so
Instagram.
Maddie.
Go follow her. She's a
MADI
7-year-old girl.
JO Outdoors. Well, I'm not sure on her
wanna
age,
see.
but what a stud! That little girl.
Oh, that was a cool little edit, intro.
So definitely
Yeah, her dad's
follow
doing it.
Maddie Outdoor.
Look at
what was
her
it,
with
Maddie
John
Joe
Dudley.
Outdoors
Yeah.
and Bobo
That's
Outdoors.
amazing.
This kid's awesome.
Look at this.
Because we need the youngsters to be out there killing that.
Well, it's also that,
Yeah.
like, to me,
It's nice to see youngsters think that archery is cool.
and this will motivate her to go on adventures and to, like, think about the future. And so when you're thinking about the future, you're, like, figuring out, like, I need to save money because I want to go on this hunt or I want to go on this shoot. Like, just that's one of the things that I feel like doing this type of stuff has been so cool is the future focus, because it makes you be more disciplined to achieve your goals. This is awesome, dude.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And I'm not even disappointed that her little mashup that you just looked at, that I know she got me in, didn't have me in it, but it had Dudley in
it
it.
was Dudley. He's more important than you are. He's way more
Josh
important.
is
He's way bigger pole than me.
Josh is revoking his shout out. No,
Right. No, she's good.
I'm kidding, but
what
that's
an
dope.
amazing little kid, man. I mean, I was so shocked. Like 4 different times she came up to me to talk to me and try
I
to
love that.
Try
That's
to make
so
content.
cool. The boldness of
pretty
children, man.
if that interview's out, we got to put the link in the bio of this pod.
She's got a YouTube channel too, and I think it's the same.
So let's put both those in the bio.
But what I did notice, which is interesting, is in order to find it, I had to type it in perfectly right. I think that poor little kid's already shadow banned on YouTube
Could be.
It may be-
because
it
she's
may
got
be
hunts.
but it may
she
be
has
kid
hunts
stuff.
on her channel.
Really?
Yes.
Does she show blood and stuff?
I'm sure. I didn't watch it, but I know she videoed a couple
Yeah,
of her,
yeah.
her and her dad videoed a couple
That's
of her hunts.
crazy.
And I think that's fucking ridiculous. It's a little kid trying to grow their channel.
Ugh.
Could be just a new thing too if she hasn't put a lot of stuff out. It takes a little while to build the search volume. But yeah, that does
But
happen.
to have to type her name exactly to have it even pop, and it never popped up, and then
That's
searched it, and then I
rough.
found it.
That'll take
Yeah,
a
it depends
while.
how long she's
I think
been
she's
on it.
actually dealing with that, which just sucks.
But that is the thing that happens. Yeah. Which
Anyway,
is
what
unfortunate.
a confident little kid. I was amazed.
Was Bodie like that, you think, when he was young? Like when he was much younger and still like hammering?
That's a hard question because I never knew him when he was super young.
I would guess no.
Ironically, his a family friend of mine through volleyball, when my girls were in volleyball, was actually friends with Joel before Joel got really famous, and he was telling me about it. Like, oh God, this is 10 years ago. Before he,
Bodie was 8?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was telling me about Joel's program and how he's mastered this, blah blah blah, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, whatever, right? And then sure enough, it ends up being the same freaking guy.
Yeah, James does not subscribe. Go
No,
ahead.
no.
Hey. I will say this. I'm going to talk about my punching, right? Some people think I punch all the time because I did used to.
No, it's
for
a selective
sure.
opportunity.
100%. So I actually used to probably punch all the time and I never even thought about it. And then I started doing YouTube and I was getting killed by these punch police. And I'm like, first of all, I'd smoke your ass. Let's be honest. But then I go, maybe I'll try not punching, you know? And then so nowadays, sometimes I won't punch and sometimes I will. But I just think it's so goofy that the punch police even exist, that someone could be amazing. And they're like, well, you suck because you punch. And you're like, he would also smoke your ass.
That's not
You know?
fair. That's not fair. There's a very small percentage of human beings that can comfortably punch the trigger and not react. And James Visser is 100% one of them. No question. No question. And it's fact, and I've seen it over time. Like there's a certain percentage of people that can make the release go off and not react to it.
70 IQ or lower. That's what it is.
It
If
is
you have
usually, you're spilling on yourself. It is just, since you're talking about IQ points, it is literally probably a mild form of retardation, but legit. There is a percentage of people that can make the release go off and almost never react to it.
There's also a
And you are absolutely one of them.
What would you say that percentage is if you had to guess?
Honestly, 1% or less.
No,
think it's
really
1%?
that low?
That don't ever react to punching a trigger.
Yeah.
Ever.
1%?
Yes, I do. I think it's 1% or less of people can forcibly make the release go off and not react to it.
I think it's higher than that.
Now, I don't mean every time, Brandon. I mean never.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I'm not
so you're
saying-
saying maybe
yeah.
they don't react 90% of the time. You're saying someone
Yeah,
who doesn't
so
react 100%.
like let's say a
of the
normal
time.
human being is going to punch the trigger,
Yeah.
right? Let's say they get 8 out of 10 shots off without reacting, but he's probably reacting to 2.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I mean, you don't react to it.
yeah.
Anybody can punch a trigger and not react.
You never feel
Anybody can't do it all the
a little
time.
speed wobble, like you engage the trigger and you're like, whoa, I got to recenter myself.
I will say I'll have a flinch at draw, maybe 1 out of 500 shots.
I was going to say
early
1
in
out of 100 you might react,
Yeah,
but
somewhere in
99
there.
out of 100
Early in
you
the
won't.
process or late in the process?
Usually it's not even, usually it'll be like draw, get on the target. For some reason, I'm a little jittery, and I'll just do usually it's like a little cam over or something, which hardly ever anymore.
Wait, are you talking about literally like losing the back wall and the cams start to engage?
Not so much anymore. I used to have that in the past, but yeah, every once in a while I'll have like a little, like just like a little something, you know? Yeah. And then usually what I'll do is like, once that happens, I'll either shoot the shot when I do it, and thankfully, hopefully, most of the time, hopefully it lands at least 8. But most of the time, if I do a little shimmy, I'll just like, all right, let me just like kind of remap the system, and we'll get back into it. It's how I approach it.
Good example of this is Jimmy Lutz. You're very similar in that regard. Like every once in a while, you'll
share a namesake.
Airmail something, but in general, you can make it go off, and it's fine. And sorry, why am I drawing a blank?
Jimmy Lutz?
No, senior class.
Gillingham.
Yeah. They'll slam the shit out of it, and don't matter. And same with
Kyle?
Yeah, they'll slam the shit out of it, and they don't care.
Watching Gillingham shoot looks exhausting. Like he's flinching before he shoots. You know what I mean? Like you got a face. And then you watch someone like Levi or Bodie shoot, and it just looks like so natural, so flowing. The bow breaks away from him. It's just like, it's interesting.
But what matters though? Like what matters is where the arrow hits.
Sure, for the contest.
For
the contest.
If what everybody knew was that like a shaky, like crazy thing ended up better versus like a really smooth, like
then we're all slamming the trigger, and that's gonna go bad. That's gonna go really bad.
And you have to say, you can't say, oh, what matters for the shot. It's like what matters for 1,000 shots. What matters for your ability to perform over time.
And
what
when I
matters
say
for your
the
ability
shot,
to perform at the highest level when it matters. Like there's a lot of layers to that. You know what I mean?
Well, and that's reality. Like he has a very unique ability. James 100% does. Like good example today when we were shooting and I hit that tree. I slammed the shit out of the trigger. And I missed by, what, a foot?
Yeah, but your impact would have been 3 feet off to the right.
I don't know, but that sound is beautiful.
I actually do.
So glorious.
I do want to bring something.
But no, that's the reality of it. Like if you freak out, you're still probably going to make a relatively good shot. If I freak out, I won't.
Yeah, I hit high, 6 inches on.
Like I can't do that. As much as I feel comfortable and confident in my ability to discharge a bow, which let's be real, I just shot like shit at it compared to everybody. I shot the worst I ever have. But I was also probably the least prepared I've ever been, and a whole bunch of other things along there that we're not going to talk about on here. But which we all know and understand. But you have a unique skill.
Thank you. Yeah.
You really you authentically.
Well, no, I that's what I wonder though. Is it's not a thank you? Is it Brett? Is it like in your DNA?
I believe
as just
so.
A person that
I believe so. And
whatever the thing is.
I don't want to discount your ability by saying that because I don't think that because you've worked really hard.
Yeah.
And hold on, just let me talk. Okay.
No,
the fact that his own poll showed me higher than him was offensive as shit. Like James authentically is probably a better archer than me. If I worked as hard as you did, I think it'd be really close. But I don't work as hard as you do because I have too many other things that force me away from it. James is an incredible shooter. And Tim has worked insanely hard. Yeah. Like Tim never stopped shooting from last year to this year. He worked really, 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 really hard. And I think Brandon's probably shooting more now than he has in several years.
I just spend money and I try to make money.
I disagree. I disagree. You're putting in time.
I am for sure.
Like from the time we shot San Antonio last year till now, I bet you I've fired 400 arrows.
Yeah.
The whole time. Yeah. Right? You guys are all working really hard at it.
Yeah.
You are. And I really want to give Tim a little more positive.
Same here.
Like I guarantee you've outworked probably just about everybody here. You've worked really hard to get better. And I already said I was proud of it, but I really am.
Thank you.
You've worked really hard.
I think
and it's commendable. It just is. But you have a gift.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that's not to downplay how hard you work because you do.
Yep.
But you have a gift.
So I do have a question for Josh specifically because I noticed things all weekend about people shooting that I wanted to ask about. But first, I wanted to just talk about my shooting. I really believe the main reason I can shoot how I do is just because I've done it since I was 3 years old and never stopped. So I've shot my whole life, and I think that's got to make a difference. So to me, I think that's the biggest factor is so many reps, and obviously now I'm blessed to have a job where I shoot all the time, so that doesn't hurt either. But longevity, I think, is the main thing. I don't know. So I think that's maybe simplified, but
yeah, I don't agree.
It's got to make a difference.
No.
Yeah, because how many people have shot till they're 3 and still shoot 20 years, 30 years later.
It's that you have embraced the way you shot.
Just not nearly as much.
You've found it and you've embraced it, and then you've gone down that path. You haven't fought it. You've embraced it because you said it yourself, the trigger punch police. But you had a way that you did it, and you still were willing to say, like, I'm going to tweak, I'm going to change, I'm going to keep experimenting, but I'm going to do it the way I do it.
Yeah. And then my question for Josh, I asked you about it once on the trail, but not on the pod. I was very intrigued by your release because I love my release with the 2 prongs instead of a barrel. And yours has almost not prongs like mine, but it has just one little
It doesn't
sharp
have the button on it.
What were you using?
But I like that.
They provide it with it. I didn't put it on. It's an
I'm saying,
evolution. It's an evolution. God damn it! What do they call it? It's brand new. It just came out.
Button?
Evolution, like the hinge where it's vibration, but it's button. It's called a shadow, I think, is what it's called.
It's a button or a
I feel
hinge?
it's a button.
Okay.
Wait, what do you mean the vibration? Explain
All right,
that.
so Evolution came out with a vibratory hinge. So as you rotate through the click isn't audible. You can feel it shake in your hand. So the animals don't hear it. So you can hunt with a hinge is the point. You want to grab me one there, son?
Yeah, you want a Miller or a big dog?
Give me a Miller.
Give him a big dog.
so
give
the-
him a big
Yeah.
one. Yeah, I'll take a Miller too.
Oh, we're all Miller.
Yeah.
We're all
Yeah.
slumming it
Because
up.
we're going to be
Nice.
saucy boys for your podcast.
Yeah, so
No, big dog.
I don't know. Figure it out.
We're not little boys.
The Evolution Outdoors makes broadheads and releases, and Evolution came out last year with a hinge that had 2 very unique things to it. One, it actually shut on your loop, so you could close it on your
I
loop.
like that idea.
Right, and
That's
still
nice,
shoot a
yeah.
hinge. Oh, I want that.
I'll trade.
that.
I'll trade.
Oh, well, I don't care.
got the right amount.
I don't care.
Okay,
All right.
okay.
So Evolution Outdoors makes a hinge that closes on your loop, so you can actually shut it onto your string
Oh,
and
that's
let
sick.
go of it.
Yeah, that's sick.
And instead of it making a click, it just vibrates a little bit.
Wait,
you can feel it.
explain that. What do you mean by that?
Like you can latch it on and just it'll hang.
No. I
me
get
see your
that
hand.
part. I'm talking about the. Yeah, but how?
I don't
So
know.
Ask them.
as you're drawing through, when you hit a click, it's a physical.
It makes some form,
shelf inside the metal.
it
that's
makes some
basically
form
popping
of vibration type feel in your hand instead of
Down.
a
That doesn't
click.
freak you out.
Not at all, because the click also freaks you out if you're not focusing on it.
Yeah.
If you're rotating till that point, it doesn't freak you out.
So again,
Actually, let me finish. Let me finish.
Yeah, I wanna get
So
back to
the shadow is a
nasty.
version. The shadow is a thumb version of the hinge that hits in the same spot. So it still attaches to the string. So you put it on, shut it, and stays on there. But it's a thumb button, and I got that release in San Antonio and had shot. I shot like 3 arrows out of it in the shop in Ashland before I came here. So I hadn't adjusted it or fucked with it at all. But the way I'm running it is deliberate. So the idea of not having a thumb button on it, which he made a 3D printed thumb button for his. Shout out to Dale, makes really cool shit. Who owns Evolution Outdoors? He actually made the thumb button where it's in line with the release instead of off centered. So when you put your thumb on the release, your thumb is physically touching the release itself, and you pull through it.
It's not a barrel that's
So
sticking
you
off to
can't
the
just
side.
go kapah, which
Yeah, that's
you'll hate
interesting.
it. Because you can't easily thumb it, or you got to pull your thumb up off it and touch the trigger to punch it. And I really like that concept because I always try to pull through with a thumb. And if you tried to physically do that while your thumb was touching the release body, it wouldn't do anything.
Yeah.
So-
I just loved the look of it because you guys know how I am with my Carter that I've had for 700 years because I'm a vampire.
It's faded.
Y'all
She's faded. It's
so
sad.
bad.
It's hilarious.
But that look of that release reminds me a little bit of the Carter, how it's like so the button is so tight to the body
Yeah.
and how you're sitting on it. I'm like, I really like that
Well, you gotta
a
shoot it.
lot. Yeah, I want to try it. And then you said you could add a barrel to it.
Yeah, it actually comes with it. I just deliberately didn't put it in there because I liked the concept of touching my thumb to the actual
Yeah, I
release
love
body to where I couldn't make it go off. I had to pull through it. And then what I was struggling with the most yesterday is it was set way too heavy. So as I'm sitting there pulling and pulling and pulling, it's taking forever to go off, a lot like Tim's was last year. And it's all taking time to make those things fit and get comfortable and adjust, which I just didn't do.
I feel like I could add a peg to that release, much like my Carter
could.
has, and it would feel very similar. So that's why I was very intrigued by the release.
Yeah, you've been trying
And
to
I
find.
liked- and I
you've been
liked-
trying to find a replacement for it
Right.
forever.
And I like that it's thin thin too. I noticed the body
Yeah.
is very,
It's
very,
very
thin.
thin.
So
It's very small.
I'm very intrigued by it.
Ironically, the release that you used was the first thumb button I ever bought, and I loved that release. It was amazing.
I wish you still had it.
I found one of them, but you told me it was the newer updated
one.
version. I had one originally that had 2 little pegs in it.
I like this quest, by the way. I still
find it?
Yeah, the quest to
Unicorn.
find it.
I
Hey,
did-
anybody,
I love
anybody
that.
listening, if you had an old Target
Carter BK
4,
Target.
Carter BK Target, did it say 4 on or
No,
not?
BK Target.
All right, so if you have an old Carter BK Target, hit up James. Tell him $1,000.
No, 10,000. It was 10,000. He told me it was $10,000.
He
Tell him
cannot
it's
find one.
4 camcorders worth.
He cannot find a replacement for it because it's 25 years old. Because I remember in the late
Is it that
90s when I
old?
had that. Yes,
Yes,
it is.
at least.
100% because I had that release. I had that release when I was 16 and I'm 46.
Wow.
That
How
release
have you
is
not-
30 years old.
How have you not found something better than that since then?
Oh, I love it, dude.
Honestly,
I'm telling you. So I've tried.
that
so
release
many-
was awesome.
It's
Unbelievable.
Brandon, it's very good. I'm telling
You
you.
got
It's
so much
just-
sand in it.
We
everything
just
about
drove
it.
the price up like
I know,
100%
if
from
anyone
what it
has
was.
one. So-
Because that release was awesome.
So my thumb process that I shoot with is a little bit like what you're talking about, how you're touching the body on the
Yeah.
release. So what I do, and Nate at Victory, actually, when he worked at Bow and Arrow Shop, was the one who told me this, and I've used it ever since. He always said to get in there and reach up and touch my index finger. So in a little ways,
Yeah.
you're kind
Same
of
as me.
blocked.
Yeah.
Same type of
Same
thing you're
as
talking
me.
about.
I'd shoot a whole thing like that.
So you can't activate the rattlesnake?
Pretty much.
Yeah, so you try to put your thumb in a position where you can't make it go off just
Yep.
by
Yeah, that's
discharging
how I
it.
started shooting the index too, was like this.
Yeah, touch them.
Touch them and then.
Yep.
And
Smart.
when he told me that, who knows how
TC,
many years ago, that
expert
was
move.
I've used it ever since, and I think that's a really good method. So if people are struggling with the thumb button, I think a lot of people run barrels that are a little too big to do that. So maybe
Mm-hmm.
try a smaller barrel and try to touch either the body or your finger and see if you do better with it, because I definitely did.
Yeah, you could go tip to body.
Exactly, yeah.
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 Yep.
Yeah.
Nothing like tip to body.
No.
The crazy thing about what we're talking about is the micrometers of movement within a release and the subtleties.
Such a small amount.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I can feel like when I started with the stand clicker, I felt like it was the equivalent of walking a half a mile when I was doing it. And then by the time I actually got dialed in, it was like walking 10 yards. Like it was just such a huge difference.
Sure. I see that.
But from an outsider's perspective, if you were shooting my release with a camera, you'd probably be like, yeah, it looks exactly the same. No, in my mind, it feels so different.
Well, it's because
Horrible.
it is. It's drastically
Yeah.
different. You just don't see the movement, but the
Yeah.
shot process time sequence is
Yeah.
crazy. No different than Tim's long time sequence last year.
Yeah.
But I
It's the
think
same
there's
thing.
some-
You just have to find a better way through it that feels more fluid. And if you haven't spent enough time with it, which is why an individual's release is so critical, no different than why you've got the same one for 30 years, right?
Fear.
And you found something,
Absolutely
and
fear.
you've been shooting that Solex for a
Couple
year and a
years
half,
now,
2
yeah.
years. Right? You feel so comfortable with it. And when you get a new person coming into the shop to buy a new bow, 9 times out of 10, they will not change their release. They know how they feel about it. They feel comfortable with it. It's something that your body accepts because nothing triggers more into how a shot feels than your release.
The Solex is kind of a cool story. Brandon and I were talking a little bit about ripple effect of like the internet, and sometimes when you're making stuff, you don't necessarily see or get to experience the ripple effect. And like yesterday, when I was socializing with people on the range, like shaking a lot of hands, getting to meet people, but so many people came up to me with Solexes,
Yeah.
and it was like,
We did sell a lot. Of
yeah,
Solex.
yeah.
And Dartons.
And it was like
I
one of
have
these
been
things like
Dartons.
two,
Yeah.
two years
about
ago. I'm not exactly
Darton.
sure how I came across the Solex, but it was like love at first sight almost. I was like, oh my gosh, for $99.
It checks every box.
For $99, you have adjustable travel, adjustable tension. Okay, boom, boom. It's
Buckle
a crisp trigger that you can hook around.
Open
it's a
hook.
hook style.
Yep.
And it's got the strap that is like a hanging strap that you can adjust, not the bars. The bars are okay if they're the right size for you, but having the strap is nice because you can adjust it literally to the micro. Yeah, infinitely to how you want it.
Yeah.
And it's just great. So I saw like a bunch of Solexes. Almost everybody that shook my hand had a Solex. I was like, holy smokes, this is
Did you?
Yeah. If you're using a wap-up-up-up, you'd be kind of foolish not to use that.
or
honestly.
consider it. I mean,
Yeah, or consider it for sure. But and once again, the Darton conversation for sure, which goes to
That's-
reflect
the Darton one is
it,
nuts,
But
dude.
it goes to reflect what I have seen, and this is the most unique thing to me, and what I was most excited about by throwing all the money at opening a shop in the East. It's like, okay, what's the product mix going to end up looking like? It's the same, and in both shops, Darton's my third best-selling bow. In both shops.
Massive amount of Dartons.
Darton was like 7th or 8th a year ago. Wow. Like they're coming on like a hurricane. They really are.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but Darton owns a ton of patents, right? Like more than anybody.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Darton has a shit
That was like
ton.
their old business model, I guess, was just selling the patents.
And they must have decided to change that, I imagine.
Oh, they sold the company, actually, and somebody else is running Darton now, and they're trying to make money on bows, is what it really boils down to.
But it's interesting, I
Interesting.
hope Darton can keep up with the growth and the quality control because that tends to happen, when you get a lot of,
Yeah, they're up 200%.
when you get a lot of products going out the door.
In a
sometimes
year
quality
where
control
almost
can go
every bow
sideways.
manufacturer is down.
That's, I mean,
Because last
shout
year,
out to
you're
them.
not going to beat last year. Last year was crazy good.
I think another interesting topic, while Brandon, once again, we hear a
can
heavy
hear
stream
that
from the
heavy
back.
stream,
yeah,
dude.
yeah,
That
heavy
sounds like a
stream.
dag-
Shout
Nab
out to
gar-
Brandon's
it's not-
wife who's enjoying that.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Yeah.
a Dagnab garden hose is on full power in there.
So I know your guys' pods are usually an hour. We're at
We're at
120.
an
So if
hour
you guys
and-
don't
No,
care, you
let's
don't
go.
care.
We're
We
going,
don't
man.
care. We don't cut them off.
party
It's
as
just
long
we
as we
want them to
can.
try to
Gotcha.
be at least an hour.
So I want to bring up the sites we're all running, and I'll start with mine. I'm running the dual track, which I know that all of us have had an issue at least once of black gold stripping out on the dial. We've all had it.
Supposedly they recut them recently.
Okay, right?
Supposedly.
But what
So
I'll
I don't want to
say-
shit all over them until
No,
I
no,
look
no,
at
and
a
I'm
new one.
not. I'm certainly not shitting on them.
What's
obviously.
the dribble mark done by your knee, Brandon?
Yeah, right.
So most of us have a zipper in our crotch. Brandon's is down at his knee.
I accidentally pooped on my knees. Actually, that's what the dribble mark is. It's not pee.
So what I want to say,
Yuck.
and this is not because I have a deal with black gold. It's nothing because of that. It's legitimately, in my opinion, the best site I've ever ran because I think that the pin when you run the 1-0s
It's sick.
is so clean that it doesn't cover the target, but you can definitely see it.
Yeah.
You have
It's perfect.
It's so good.
James, I was going to
don't know.
redesign it so I could bolt it on other things. It's such a great aim mechanism.
So you agree as far as the site
getting their
itself
level blows, the attachment system, and trying to get that perfect sucks.
Right.
But that sight picture is the best sight picture I've ever seen.
Why is that, do you think?
Because the pin's the smallest pin.
Well, the pin's small, and also I think the maybe this is what you mean. I didn't mean the reticle, like the actual post is super
Yes,
skinny
the post
too.
is really skinny.
So it almost looks like you're looking at a scope with a dot in the middle.
It
That's
does.
cool.
And I also think
does.
that the housing is like the perfect size. It's
the
the,
right
the
size.
perfect balance
100%.
between. I agree.
100%.
So-
Now fix the goddamn adjustment system.
So if I had to rate my site outside of the
Wait a second,
stripping
wait a second.
issue,
If you had to rate your site, what would it be?
thank you, Tim, for the question. I would say honestly, it's got to be like
We're
You
in
ever
New
start,
Haven.
you ever
We're in
start
New
asking
Haven.
yourself your
It's
own
got-
We're
questions?
in New
It's
Haven.
not-
Say we're in New Haven.
it's a 9.2 site. Like I'm legit.
nine?
Wow.
I'm
Dave
I kind of
We're talking about
feel
Sally's
like
a
Black
pizza
Gold
kind
paid
of-
for that response.
100%. It's a Sally's Pizza, and I'm
Dude,
telling
you can't.
you,
James,
I'm telling
James,
you when
James.
yep.
James,
James.
you're paid way too much money to go that high.
No. So I'm telling you, when I switched to that sucker, I went, dude, I feel like I cannot miss with this
Hey,
thing.
who made you do that?
Did you tell me to get the dual?
Yes,
Yeah.
fuck stick, I did.
And it was while you were over at
But-
yeah,
Yeah,
right?
and I
point
rebuilt the
is-
one you had and put micro on it because Bowtech
Right.
doesn't make it.
And there's a video on your channel of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which did shit.
Who cares? Who cares? Whatever.
Probably because it was shot with a
But
camcorder.
the micro adjust is sick. But the sight picture is just undefeated. Even if you had another sight, I would suggest just putting that friggin' scope on.
you can't.
But-
Oh, you can't.
No, it's not a universal attachment. And that's the problem. It's all their windage. And that's the other cool thing that Black Gold did in theirs is they made the head micro adjust individually of the body. So you can move your sight all the way to the top, maximize the entire range of the travel of the sight, and still get a zero stop 20. Black Gold has done everything that the consumer has ever asked for other than make a rail system that strips out.
Yeah.
Just fucking fix that.
Yeah, I think I don't like the way the bubble adjusts. Like that whole thing's janky. Is that the first
janky.
axis?
Yeah, it's
super
janky.
janky.
It's 100%. Well, I already said that. It's janky.
That
It's
was the first- that was the thing?
That
That's
was
the
my
big-
first criticism.
Yeah, the stripping is the bigger issue.
The stripping is the bigger issue because it makes it not functional.
I have
but
one
the
other-
level system sucks.
I
And their
have
pin
one other
adjustments.
nitpick.
Their pin adjustment blows.
One other very slight nitpick I'll have about the site. So I primarily shoot it as a single pin. I only ever shoot the top one until I'm past 110.
Yeah, the second
And
one's
then
for
I'll-
emergencies only, dog.
Then,
Yeah,
then
emergency-
use the
it's
second
emergency
one.
pin.
But I
Yeah.
do have a slight improvement that I think could be made on the secondary pin. I love that you can move it up and down. I think that is really dope to set the gap you want. I wish the Allen head was like one size bigger on it. It's so tiny that it's like almost nobody has a wrench that small, and it's easy to strip. So I wish it was one size.
We've
maybe
talked
two
about the
sizes bigger.
Chinesium so much.
High grade Chinesium.
No, that's so
Don't know.
jank, dude. Everybody
grade.
should use.
High grade.
Everybody should
High
use
grade,
something else. Those bolts in
That's
general. on the
Canadian
scopes,
metal that you're talking about in general.
It
just
doesn't
so you
matter,
know.
dude. They suck. It's so stupid. How many? No, I was at the shop during the grand opening and somebody stripped something out.
I'm sure.
But I
Not
wanna,
one of your guys, somebody else.
I want to
Like,
reel
that's
this
so
back in
jank.
because it was my topic I introduced. Tim, what site did you run and what would you rate it?
I wanted to ask you what we were going to get to after you started interviewing yourself.
No, I wanted to ask about all your guys' shit.
Eventually, James will stop talking about himself, and we'll get to another person.
Head out.
We're at an hour and a half. Let's
That's
move
your
this through
question
because we got a
again?
whole nother one
I just
to do.
want to know what site you ran and what your 1 to 10 rating would be.
Okay, so I ran the XL landslide with the AVX 31. Is that right? The smaller
You're
with
right.
the two. It's
Ranger,
got two pins.
Ranger pin.
It's got your standard middle pin and then your emergency pin below it, green and red.
Tim. Ranger pin.
Ranger pin.
There you
I
go.
really like it. It's nice. The current pin sizes, I could see potentially going slightly smaller for the longer range stuff. But for most of your 3D 70 and under, or maybe even a hunting scenario, it's really nice. And I think a lot of people think about landslide and like $450 or whatever. And it can be $450 if you go with like different heads, but the
can be
model
more
I
than
had
that.
was like $365.
It can be over 500 depending
Which is
on
kind
what
of
you
cool
pick.
because AVX is a really nice head for, you know, a competitive price point within the upper tier market. Yeah.
No, I agree.
What
Eh.
And I am also shooting a Excel currently.
yeah.
I am shooting a driver with an AVX 31. Try to take credit for being the first, and like I copied you or some
Yeah,
shit.
you
But
did.
no,
He was
I honestly had
heavily.
I had no idea that's what you were using.
Yeah.
But I have the newer version, which is the driver.
Of
and
course, yeah.
ironically, the price is about the same. They're not different.
Yeah.
The pluses with the driver are
I like
the
that
sight.
they launched the driver without a massive price point hike.
Yeah, it was
That's
very
cool.
nice of them. But the biggest thing is it's a lot lighter. There's less stuff going on. There's the dovetail smaller. Everything about it's intended to be smaller. It was the pitch to Matthews is what it really boils down to. So the Proof, the driver, and the UltraView Matthews were all the pitch to Matthews. Sell our site with your name on it. But the driver was the only one that isn't ridiculously expensive. The Proof's like 600 and the UltraView's 700, and the driver is 500 or less depending on the pin configuration. And once again, in a Ranger pin, we're like high threes, which is hard to say that, oh, that's cheap.
Yeah.
It's
But
not cheap,
because
yeah.
a black gold dual track micro adjust is 349. It's actually less than that.
Oh, really? That's
yes,
good.
I know.
But
They just
now-
need to fix the adjustment.
So
system.
what would the
Like,
1 to
God
10 be on your two
Yeah,
sites?
you never did rank your
Yeah.
number there,
Okay.
boss.
So
You didn't
I've
Portnoy
always
it.
had concern about the landslide and just really busting brush with it because I haven't done that personally, and I would need to do that to probably put it into like the 8s. So I would give it like a 7-9 pending, you know, some serious brush busting. Because for a person who's hunting, which is how
score.
most people are going to use it, it needs
Too
to be
small.
It needs to be vetted a little more.
It's too small.
Well,
Are you
but
19
you
thou
could get a
pins?
bigger AVX
No, 10.
head.
No, but
10.
he is.
No, he's 10.
Really?
He ain't shooting a 19.
I think
can't
he
remember.
might be, dude.
Yeah,
They're
no,
so fat.
He's not shooting a 19.
It's blown out, bitch. It's crazy looking.
Josh,
So
1
I'm
to 10?
7-9 on the AVX
So on my
landslide.
driver, I hate to do this because I think it's a great sight. I'm going to give it a 7.1.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give it a 7.1 because there's no way to dim down the brightness of the sight.
That's a big deal.
There is not a first axis adjustment. Now, the driver doesn't have one.
No one cares
Landslide
about that.
does, driver doesn't, which is why Bodie said he's probably not changing because he shoots a landslide and you need a first axis adjustment.
Oh, he says Bodie
But
said he means
the
world
reality
champion
of
indoor
it
shooter
is
Bodie Turner.
if it's perfectly machined, you shouldn't need it,
Right.
right? But at the end of the day, if you want to put a different scope on it, change something out,
Yeah.
right? You're screwed.
And we don't live in a perfect world. That
We do not. To
you might
expect
go
everything
bend
to be
it,
square.
bump it, you know.
No, that's foolish. That's foolish. So I'm gonna give it that. I'm gonna give it that ranking. And honestly, man, like I'm with James. Nothing beats the black gold dual track scope.
Yeah.
It's just perfect.
Unless Brandon ranks the UV a 9.8.
No, I'm
Brandon
not
could
stupid.
swing his hammer into it, knock his
Do you
first
want to go
axis
get
off.
you want to go get your Ultraview jersey first?
Yeah. No, I got my tattoos. You want me to take off my
I would like to
my
see the
shirt?
tattoos.
Ultra
I think you should.
View.
I think you
We've
should.
talked about it.
Yeah, they're under his titties.
It's under boobs.
Okay.
But it's
under
a
boob.
nice curvature.
The
Ultra
Rihanna
View.
tattoo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
The
gotcha,
Riri.
got it.
It's full Riri.
So I'm running the UltraView version 1 before the Matthews version. But I've also incorporated a lot of dust into the entire thing, so it actually mutes the pins, and I'm not kidding at all. So I know it sounds super goofy. They don't have a way to cool the fibers down either. By the way, I feel like I'm sloshed right now.
You're all right. Well, we haven't eaten since 8 a.m.
We need to replenish
and
with
we're
some Thai
multiple
food
beers
eventually.
in, and then we have another pod.
No,
to
let's
do.
keep going. When does the cocaine come out?
I don't know.
You're
If I
gonna have
start,
to edit. You're
if
gonna
I
have to
start
edit
getting
now.
drowsy, just hand me a
Brandon,
Zen. I'll
this is
do
a
it. I've never done
family
one,
friendly
but I'll do it for this.
Edit now. Edit.
We don't edit.
I do
do
think that
not.
I do think that,
Correct.
so. The size of the housing for a hunting scenario versus the pins versus the brightness is a really, really good balance. But I feel like the black gold having basically the ring around the outside of the front of the housing. I feel like the black gold's superior, and so I feel like I still continue to aim better with the black gold.
So 1 to 10 on your current site.
What did you do?
I did 7.9.
What'd you do?
7-1.
7.2, 7.3.
We're on the Portnoy scale right now.
7.2,
All
7.3.
Portnoy.
Yeah.
Well,
You
hey,
didn't rate yours, you bastard.
I did. I said 9.2, you bastard.
Yeah, he went
I did.
psycho.
Oh, so
yeah,
that
that's
was
a,
the pizza.
that's
That's
a
fucking aggressive.
bought ad right
No.
there. You can be in the
I
eights.
am
That's a
dead
double
ass.
hand cup
James,
job
you
right
know,
there.
you know for a fucking fact the leveling system sucks, and that the likelihood of stripping is high. You should be in the 8s.
That's
You
where I think
cuck.
the improvement could be made. You cuck.
You're being a
No,
cuck.
I'm joking.
Improvements. If the
Well,
improvements
let's-
are made,
hey,
it
one
is.
thing.
If the improvements are made, it is in the 9s.
James has-
which is stupid. Just make the fucking improvements. Why don't you? They know it's wrong.
James has never shied away from stripping. Let's establish that.
James,
Oh,
James
dude, I
sells
get that
foot picks. We're
banana
aware.
swinging, bruh. Come on now.
No, but you know that.
I'm being honest.
How can you rank it that high with those failures?
I think it could be as high as a 9.8.
Were they standing in front of you while you ranked it?
No, I think it could be as high as a 9.8 because you can't give a 10. You cannot give a 10.
Never.
But I think it could be as high as a 9.8 with those two changes. That's why I was at 9.2. If you want me to really nitpick,
God.
I suppose you
know,
go 8.9.
it's too-
But
I
for me,
really
it's too
thought you
high.
were
It's too
authentic.
high.
I thought you
James,
weren't
too high.
authentic
I
until
am
right
being
now.
authentic, bruh. Come on, bruh.
What
I
about
was,
the- what
I
about
was
the
rocking
Garmin?
black gold while you were still slamming whatever shit you had down in fucking San Diego. You are
Four Locos?
You are reacting wrong, sir. You should give more critical feedback than that.
I gave 2 pieces of critical feedback.
But you
I
can't
said
give
they
you
stripped.
can't give a score in the 9s with a stripped rail and a level system that's janky.
To be fair, I've shot black gold because before that I shot the 5-pin slider for probably a decade. So I probably got.
Did you shoot it since '98? Because I have.
Oh, I'm just speaking for me personally. So in 15 years, I've probably had 3 strips in 15 years. Is that enough reason for me to ding a whole point? I don't think so.
Oh, that's right. You don't sell them. I've had fucking 30 in this year.
Okay.
The side I put on my own bow stripped.
The
within like the
tension is
first
sky high.
within like the first 100 shots.
Yeah.
It's stripped.
I have never had that
It's a
experience.
tolerance
So
issue.
I'm only speaking for me. I've never had that experience. I've had them strip after 3 years, but I've never had them strip in 100 shots. Me personally.
They need to redo it.
I agree with you, and I did say that, which is why my
Which is
score
why
is
you
not
should
a
be in the
9.8.
8s. You should be in the 8s,
That's why
you
it's not a
cuck.
9.8, you cuck. This battle is phenomenal, but I will say...
Can we shut this down and
been a
start
lot.
another one? Because we got a whole ways to go.
Are you gonna go pee loud?
James,
You gonna pee loud?
I wish I could pee
Not
loud.
nearly as loud as Brandon.
No one. It'd be embarrassing compared to Brandon.
Anyway,
my
that's
good. The power behind that python.
Absolutely.
Impressive.
That's the
It's
pod.
impressive, right?
That's the pod. Everybody has a video out from the weekend. You want to go check those out? You can see exactly how everything went down. James does BDP.
Yep, Bow Disciples Podcast. We're going to rip it next, so be sure to subscribe to that. It's newly monetized, so go throw us a bone, throw it like
Bought
another
and
subscribe.
paid.
And yeah, we'll see you there.
9.2, bitch.
Brandon has a channel. Josh and Brandon also been recording podcasts while Josh is here. And that's the pod. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you,
Subscribe,
guys.
leave it a review. these are fun. It's fun to hang out with the friends and let it rip.
You paid shit.
Love y'all.
Oh, that's the pod.
9-2? Are you fucking high?